Hello, this is Cynthia Sue Larson of RealityShifters.com, and this month I'm here to talk to you about loving the life that you live. And I've got a great quote for you this month. This is something from a book that I just read, which I love. It's called Nothing Short of Joy, and it's a book by Julie Bond Genovese. And she, as you can see, she's a little person. Maybe you can't tell in the book cover, but she's a dwarf, and she was born with a condition that led her to experience a lot of trauma in life, situations that many people might have gotten bitter and judgmental and upset about. Obviously, these are tough times for a person to go through life seeming different, because most people in the world today, rather than seeing who's really inside, we tend to judge people by how much money they make, how they look, all kinds of surface things that really are not, in the final analysis, all that important, really. But there's a quote in this book that I just adore, and I want to say what it is. It's just fabulous, and I want to quote quite a bit of it, actually. It says, "Those who I thought were my enemies became my allies. Pain moved towards healing. Hate turned to love. Fear to joy. I'd once judged my life as inadequate, but from my soul's perspective, it had always been magnificent. It turns out that in the great celestial card game, there's no such thing as a bad hand. The full circles of life had brought me home. Being born different was not a curse. In the end, it was magic." I am just so impressed with this book, and it's actually in the form of an autobiographical tale, but I think the point is that all of us can learn how to overcome things that we might be feeling upset, bitter, angry, righteously furious about, because certainly we all face situations when someone has done us wrong, when something has gone badly, when there's been yet another kind of a disaster in the world or in our personal lives. The trouble is, if we fixate on that kind of thing and get to a place where, rather than moving forward and keeping ourselves light and clean and forgiving and good on the inside, we can get pretty contaminated. So I think that there's a great lesson just from the example of Julie's life, and that's why I'm very impressed with the book and very pleased to enthusiastically recommend and endorse it for you. And things have happened to me this month. The reason I love this book and it resonates is because this month I had all kinds of mechanical failures happening in my life, everything from the car to the computer to the telephone to the internet, including being out of phone service for a couple of weeks, the second half of July, and internet was also off. What I learned during that time, which was somewhat less than ideal in a number of ways, is that some of the things that I really needed to do and wanted to do, but probably wouldn't have done, were able to happen. And I could take more time being with my family during the summer, a little bit, more time with my friends, and get some amazing projects accomplished that wouldn't have happened at all if I hadn't had this kind of a sabbatical. So I'd like you to take a look at your life and notice things that you might think are imperfect, things you might be actually angry about, and take a look at how it's possible that there is quite a blessing in the midst of what otherwise could seem like some kind of a disaster. Maybe someone you're angry with has given you a gift, even though it may not seem like it at first glance. Rather than getting upset with a company like the phone company or British Petroleum or people that are doing things wrong in some other fashion, how about appreciate what we are experiencing and what we're benefiting from, even in the midst of seeming catastrophe. So this is something we can all improve on, learning to be happy, learning to find joy. That's like the title of this book, Nothing Short of Joy, even when dealt what seems like a very difficult hand of cards, to come up a winner with one's dreams coming true. Not that that's what keeps us going, but that sometimes with our good attitude, loving ourselves, learning to pull forward and just keep a very positive perspective can make a tremendous difference. So if you, like me, love to read stories that are inspirational, that help you move onward and upward, then I'm sure you'll love this book. It also reminds me of a picture that I've shown in the past of an illustration from my book, Or Advantage, which is the downside of holding anger inside. So many of us, when we get upset about the economy, one thing or another, there's so much to be upset with politics and this and that and the other, that we can get kind of twisted out of shape, and that's never a good thing to do. Just like with dental hygiene, we need to clean our teeth, floss, and so forth. We need to do the same thing energetically. And it's vitally important to our own health and well-being and the well-being of our families and our world. So until next time, I hope you keep finding out just how good your life is, how good your life has been, and how good your life will get. Thanks a lot.